kirtan. So you can join with me. We'll do Srila Prabhupada's traditional kirtan, his Bhagavatam class kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava. And I think that's also appropriate since very soon we'll be also celebrating the 50th anniversary of the establishment of this Mayapur project here, just nearby at the Bhajan Kutir, where Radha Madhava came. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Sata Sri Shima Chidandi Goswami Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Sata Sri Shimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mayi Ki Jai. Jun Mayi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. To Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you again. And I beg all of your blessings that my sitting up on this high seat does not prove itself to be a great mistake, putting me up here. That by your blessings and mercy of the Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas, they'll somehow inspire me to say something which you will find to be enlightening or inspiring or thought-provoking, perhaps. I chose to speak on every town and village, and I'll have to say that this came very quickly when I was asked to speak here. I said, oh, what will you be talking about? Just every town and village, because every town and village has been on my mind now for a month, more than a month, in my service to the GBC SPT. We are serving the society in different ways, and one of our primary services today is to broadcast interesting and enlightening and stimulating talks and interviews on our channels on YouTube and Facebook, GBC SPT, you can just go there. And our series that we launched actually on just 2 days ago, on the 22nd, is called Every Town and Village. And in this series, every day we have talks. Today, in fact, it will be one of our own members, Kontiya Prabhu. He's come up with a very interesting title. Meat eating is not the problem. So I'm very curious to see what he'll be talking about. But I actually know it has something to do with how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced Krishna consciousness to people of other faiths and traditions. So every day we'll be having a talk, and I thought, well, maybe I can also say something. And so I thought, let's talk about every town and village. Let's talk about Prithivite Achi Jato Nagarari Gram. But to talk about that, I felt we should get the context. This is a statement in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and we'll come to that. We're going to try to go on a journey now to the point where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes this bold proclamation. The journey begins here in Navadvip Dham, here close by in Sri Mayapur, here in the home of Srivas Thakur. In this Navadvip and in this place, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nimai at the time, this is before his acceptance of sannyas, Nimai Pandit has returned from Gaya. He's received the extraordinary blessing of Ishwarapuri. He's become transformed and he's become mad with Krishna Prema. And he's begun the Sankirtan. His Sankirtan begins in the house of Srivas Thakur. And gradually the people of Navadvip begin to clue in. Some are very skeptical. Some are even entirely opposed. Some are eager to take part. The skeptical and the opposition mount a campaign to stop the Sankirtan by calling upon the forces of government. I'll pause for a moment to ask everyone to offer a prayer for our spiritual family in the country of Ukraine, which is experiencing now the terrible power that governments can inflict upon their citizens because of their disputes over their territories. We pray that they are all safe and will continue to be safe. Here in Navadvip, the residents also
appealed to some residents, appealed to the government, thinking, well, this is a Mohammedan government. They'll naturally take our issue here. They don't like these Hindus anyways. And we are protesting this Sankirtan. It is against our Hindu dharma to loudly chant God's names. The names of God should be chanted softly or mentally. This is blasphemous, they would say. In fact, their motivation was to hide their own sinful lives. But not everyone was opposed. In fact, there were quite a number of residents of Navadvip who began to feel the power of that Sankirtan themselves. Before the incident with the Chandkazi, we hear how Mahaprabhu, how some residents, pious residents of Navadvip, assemble outside of Srivasa's house because this has been a closed kirtan. Mahaprabhu comes out and they appeal, how can we receive this extraordinary gift that you are manifesting? And he gives the first wave of what will be the Sankirtan movement by telling them, take the Maha Mantra, go home, bring your family together, bring your neighbors together, with instruments or with your hands. Simply do kirtan. Chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this way, the Sankirtan movement begins. By the time that the Chandkazi has initiated his nefarious plans, and Mahaprabhu is responding, thousands, hundreds of thousands of Navadvip residents become swept up and they join in the kirtan, which proceeds with ecstasy to the house of Chandkazi. This foretells what will happen some years, not very long, maybe 1 or 2 years later, when Mahaprabhu accepts the sannyas order, leaves Navadvip and goes to Puri. Already there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who have been transformed by Mahaprabhu's kirtan. And they follow him. With great difficulty, Mahaprabhu is able to, with a small group of Nityananda and other associates, able to get them to stay behind and proceed to Nilachala. A short time later, I'm not exactly sure, maybe just at 1 year, the mood comes to Mahaprabhu, now let me go to Vrindavan. He's been cultivating this mood for many, many years perhaps. So he begins to proceed. He also has within him the mood that on the way to Vrindavan he will go, he will visit Gauradesh, he will see Sachi Mata. And so he proceeds and arrives at the home of Vidya Vachaspati in Vidyanagar. What ensues is a demonstration of how this Sankirtan movement and how Mahaprabhu is manifesting the Kirtan in such a way that it will lead to our revelation. Vrindavan Das Thakur describes that although Mahaprabhu wanted to keep himself quiet, he says, who can hide the sun? So the word goes around. And all of those residents of Navadvip who had been seeing, they've been witnessing, they've been observing, they've been gradually, those who didn't see initially are seeing now, they become overwhelmed with the desire to see. They must see, they must connect with Gauranga, Chaitanya, and they begin to swarm. Vidyanagar, the house of Vidya Vachaspati, is on the other side of the Ganges from the multitude of Navadvip. It's interesting that if we'll see in this story that the river had its own different shape at that time. So even those who reside in what we now know as Navadvip would also have to cross the river. And from this side they have to cross the river to get to the house of Vidya Vachaspati, by the way, who is the brother of Sarvabhauma. When they arrive, to get there, to cross the river, they pile into boats. The boats get overweighted. They begin to sink. But by the power of Mahaprabhu, Vrindavan Das Thakur relates that whenever they would start to sink, a sandbar would appear to keep them from drowning. Those who couldn't fit into boats, they would grab hold of big clay pots and use those to swim across. Some would hang on to banana trees and make rafts, and whatever way they could, they just swarmed like a grand, frantic mob, but a mob that was filled with ecstatic love. Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. And they arrive. And they're swarming the house of Vidya Vachaspati. Mahaprabhu reveals himself, and there's uproarious kirtan. But then he disappears. Vidya Vachaspati doesn't know where he, but they all, you must be hiding him! You must be hiding him! Then someone comes and says, I've heard he is in Kulia. Kulia is what we now call Kuladvip, or the area of Navadvip. That at that time was, the Ganges River had made a bend. You can see it on a map actually, the remnants of how the Ganga took another turn, so that Kulia was also on the other side of the river. They swarmed again, now to the house of this, I can't remember the Brahmin's name, in Kulia. And finally persuaded Mahaprabhu to reveal himself. And again, the kirtan knew no bounds. And in this kirtan, as in kirtans that Mahaprabhu would participate in, we see the transformation. Mahaprabhu's dancing, Mahaprabhu's kirtan is so overwhelming. It's like this, like it's described, millions of suns rising. Somehow or other, the devotees are somewhat satisfied, and Mahaprabhu, in the next day, leaves. We next hear of him, there must have been a few days of his arrival in Ramkeli. In Ramkeli, we have the capital of then Gauradesh. The king, the Raja, is Hussain Shah. His ministers are those we now know as Rupa and Sanatan. What is it? Dabir Kash and Sakir Malik, I think, were their names. Vrindavan Das Thakur does not go into detail of the meeting of Mahaprabhu with Rupa and Sanatan, but rather he focuses on the effect that Mahaprabhu's kirtan has. When he arrives, again, there are thousands with him, multitudes. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has become so absorbed in kirtan. Everywhere kirtan, everywhere the sound of the holy names are just vibrating in streams. It's described, Vrindavan Das Thakur describes how there are hundreds of kirtan parties. He uses words, for me it's inconceivable. Vrindavan Das Thakur talks about millions of people. Thousands of kirtan parties. And Mahaprabhu is entering in and dancing. And meanwhile, the soldiers and officers of the king, the Muslim described as Yavan, the Yavana constables and so on, they're observing. And they are also swept up. They're also brought into this kirtan. They cannot help it. And what takes place is extraordinary. Hussain, King Hussain Shah, he inquired, what's going on? What's happening? Who is this? One of the king's officers comes and reports, this personality is so extraordinary. And he begins to describe his beauty. He begins to describe his limbs are down to his knees, his shoulders are broad, his eyes are like lotuses. He's describing him with the spirit of a devotee. Describing the extraordinary beauty of Mahaprabhu. I've heard once that famous verse, Krishna Varna Trisha Krishnam Sangabhangastra Parshadam Jagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yachantihi Sumedashaha. That Krishna appears without his Krishna color, but Sangopangastra with his astras and his parshad. And the question, well, what are the astras of Gauranga? We don't see any bows and arrows. We don't see a sword. We don't see a club. We don't see, well, sometimes we see a chakra. He manifests. But normally we don't see. So I've heard that the astra, the weapon, the unbeatable, unsurpassable weapon of Mahaprabhu is this extraordinary extraordinary beauty. Described by the Yavan constable as being more powerful than Cupid himself. So here we have the king, the Muslim king Hussein Shah, who is hearing this and becoming himself attracted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And unlike his Chandkazi, he orders his officers to let him be, let him be, let him, give him full reign. He asks one of his trusted counselors, Keshava, I'm not sure the name, anyway, Keshava something. And Keshava, being also a devotee, is a little fearful, so he tries to downplay, oh, he's a poor sannyasi. He's come, he's got some followers, yes, but nothing to worry about, just nothing. And Hussein Shah responds, what are you saying, poor? How can you describe him as poor? Look at me. I have to pay huge salaries to get anyone to do what I want them to do, and everyone just follows him. They take his order, receiving nothing. No, I think he is actually he who the Hindus call Krishna, he who the Mohammedans call, I think it's Chuda, something like that. Koda. I'm not up in Persian. Allah. So he orders, let him be. But some of the devotees who hear of this, they become concerned. Now Hussein Shah is favorable, but he could turn. He could turn. Someone could put a bug in his ear and turn his thought to the mode of Chandkazi. So they try to approach Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu is in ecstasy. There are millions of people enjoying kirtan. Mahaprabhu is, again, this word, I'm not sure the Bengali term for it, but we hear this coming again and again in Chaitanya Charitamrita and in Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'm not sure the opposite, but he returns to external consciousness, meaning that he's in this other state. This madness of intoxication with love. And everyone is swept up. Everyone is seeing, just by seeing Mahaprabhu in this, they're weeping, crying, chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This kirtan is so extraordinary. And Mahaprabhu, time is nothing. Hours dancing, chanting, hours and hours. Finally, at some point, he comes enough to external consciousness that the devotees approach. And here is the conversation. They appeal to Mahaprabhu. It's not safe. It's not safe here. This is the capital. This is the king. Now he is favorable. But he may ask you to come. And if he changes his way, he could do anything. It's better you leave. Mahaprabhu responds. In Mahaprabhu at this time, and we see this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, most of the time we see Mahaprabhu very much just in the mood of a devotee. If someone says, "Oh, you're the Supreme Lord," he shuts his ears. But when these situations arise, as in the case of the march on the Chandkazi, or in this situation, then now Mahaprabhu is here as Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And he responds. Let us remember, now we are hearing Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking as Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Rajava amare kene bholya chaite ki shakti rajareva bola charite. How can the king say he wants to see me? What power does the king have to say such things? Ami chari bholai se rajar mukhete tabe se bholibe raja amare chahite. The king will say that he wants to see me only if I inspire him to do it. Ama dekhi bhare shakti kon vatahar, vede anveshya deka na paya amar. Otherwise, what power does he have to see me? Even the Vedas cannot see me after intense search. Devarshi Rajarshi Siddha Purana Bharate Aman Veshe Kya Napaya Dekite. The saintly demigods, the saintly kings, the perfected beings, the Puranas and the Mahabharata cannot see me even after intense search. And now he proclaims, Sankirtan Arambe Mohar Avatar Udhara Karimu Sarva Potita Sansar. I have incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement, and I will deliver all the fallen souls of this world. I will deliver. Jai Daitya Yavane More Kabu Nahi Mone E Yuge Tahar Kandi Bheka Mora Name. In this age, the demons and Yavanas who have no faith in me will also cry while chanting my names. Yoteka asprishta dushta Yavana Chandal Sri Sudra Hari Yata Harama Rakal. Hina Bhakti Yoga Dino E Yuge Sabhare Sura Muni Siddha Ye Nimita Kamya.
Kare. In this age, I will distribute devotional service that is desired by the demigods, sages, and perfected beings to everyone, including the untouchables, miscreants, yavanas, dog-eaters, women, sudras, and other fallen souls belonging to the lower castes. Vidya dhana kula jnana tapasyara more ye mora bhaktera stane kore aparade se sabajana habe e yuga vanchita sabetara namanive amara chorita. But people who are intoxicated by education, wealth, high birth, knowledge, and austerity, and who as a result commit offenses at the feet of my devotees will be cheated in this age, for they will not accept my glories. And then Prithvi Paryanta Jatur Ache Deshagram Sarvacha Sanchara Hoibeka Moranam. This is what we know as Prithvite Ache Jatur Nagaradi Gram Sarvacha Prachar Hoibe Moranam. In every town and village of the world, the chanting of my name will be heard. Prithvite astya amya iha chuna konjehena jana more katao napan. This is the reason I have advented in this world. But I have not found anyone who is searching for me. Raja more khata chaivike dekhi bare ekata sakala mitya koila sabare. Why will the king want to see me? I can tell all of you that such rumors are all false. So this is the bold and forceful proclamation of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is telling us directly, I am that avatar who has come here just in our time. It's just 500 years ago, a little bit more. He came here, Krishna, to do what no other avatar, no other manifestation, appearance of Krishna. Krishna comes, he sends avatar, he produces, he becomes avatars, he is Krishna. Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, appearing, avataring, he's manifesting for this purpose, to deliver everyone, regardless of who they are. How? By spreading the Sankirtan, the holy names of Krishna. And he proclaims, it will happen. Prithvite ache jatto nagar ari gram sarvatra prachar hoire mora nam. It is clear statement. Prithvite, the entire world. We're reminded how when Srila Prabhupada, our Prabhupada, comes back from his first foray, and this is very soon, I think probably
this, 50 years ago, his meeting here in Mayapur with his godbrothers when they come to participate in the inauguration of the project in Mayapur. They comment how we kind of thought that, Priti Vidyache, it's just one of those, kind of way, because Vrindavan Das Thakur does appear to have a little bit of a hyperbolic sort of, everything's in the millions and countless, and it's quite extraordinary how he speaks. So you might be not faulted to think that, well, Vrindavan Das is sort of just, okay, maybe all over India, but that's, that concept. But the whole world? And when they saw Srila Prabhupada with his white elephants, his dancing white elephants, from all over Europe and America, Australia, different corners of the world, they could see, yes, it's actually true. Priti Vidyache Jotanagarari Gram. Sarvatra Prachar Hoi Ve Mora Nam. The names of Krishna and the name of Gauranga will be heard. Now, has it happened? To some extent. To some extent, we can see that the name of Krishna has been heard by the mission of Srila Prabhupada. In our series on this every town and village topic, a number of our talks will be on the principle of the order of Mahaprabhu. Ami Agya. I am ordering. We also find this. Mahaprabhu is saying, Ami Agya. I am ordering everyone to preach Krishna consciousness. He is given an order. We find in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita how he describes himself. I am like a gardener. I have so much fruits that are capable to come up, but I cannot distribute on my own. So I order everyone to help. This principle of the order, of accepting the order, is a fundamental principle of Mahaprabhu's strategy. How will the world receive the names of Krishna? One of our talks just, I guess it was last night, or no, night before last, Mahaprabhu was speaking. And he described, he gave it the term, he gave it called the Dharma Sindhu, I would say Agya Sindhu. That we've heard Karuna Sindhu, that the devotees are impelled, they're an ocean of compassion. And compassion is certainly a fundamental driving force for this movement to spread, to feel the suffering of humanity, to feel how dangerous the world is, to feel the need of everyone for Krishna consciousness, impels us to want to distribute what we've received, to give it to others, that they may hear the holy names of Krishna. They may find the light in this dark world. They can find the solution to birth and death and old age and disease. They can find the exit. They can get a ticket back to Godhead. Sometime in 1950 or so, 48, 50, just after independence, Srila Prabhupada writes to, I think it was the Prime Minister, or I think it was the President of India, appealing for a meeting. And in that letter he describes, I have got the clue, I know how to get out of this terrible world, to go back to Godhead. I have it. Let me share it with everyone. We have it. We want to share it. But perhaps we don't have so much of that power of compassionate feeling that gets us to just move, as Srila Prabhupada did. Today we were with Hari Sori, and we were talking a bit about Srila Prabhupada's life. He described how Srila Prabhupada mentioned to someone, I think maybe it was Gargamuni, he mentioned that actually the fact is that practically speaking, ever since I arrived in America, I've not been well. My health has not been good. Hari Sori described that he had kidney issues, he had diabetes, he had a variety of health issues. But Srila Prabhupada would not complain and would just move on, because his power, his depth of compassion was so strong that his physical needs, his physical concerns just couldn't stand in the way. Now, I have to admit that is not my case. Mahaprabhu was talking about how in the days, and I think many of you who may have experienced this yourself in the ashram as young devotees. At least I became a follower of Srila Prabhupada back in 1970 in Toronto, Canada. But I quickly was transferred, I couldn't stay there, so I went to Rochester, New York. Excuse me, Rochester where I grew up, Buffalo, New York, Temple. Now, unlike West Bengal, Buffalo, New York is a very cold place in the winter. There's 3 feet of snow from time to time. Those of you who are from Russia, a few of you you may know what I'm talking about. But those of you who live here, you've never experienced this. So when it comes time to go out for Sankirtan, and Mahatma was describing his temple, which was in Vancouver, Canada, which was also another cold place in the winter. Not as cold as Buffalo, actually, I should say. Buffalo, we were really cold. To go out on Sankirtan, we would put on leggings, pants, then a dhoti, 2-3 layers of socks. We'd put on gloves, and we'd have to cut holes in the fingers so we could play the drum in order to put on 2 or 3 other layers. And then we were out there with our magazines and kirtan. And it was not easy. So he described how, and I can tell in our experience too, that when it came time, let's go out, now it's Sankirtan time, then it was sort of, okay, do we really? Yeah. But the order impelled us. The order of Srila Prabhupada to do this, serve this mission. His enthusiasm and his dedication to the order of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. By the way, we've just, in the last week, inaugurated the restored #1 Ultadanga Junction Road, the Bhaktivinoda Asan. And I encourage every one of you to make that pilgrimage to walk those halls, to go to that roof, to go to that place where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave the order to our Srila Prabhupada to preach this Krishna consciousness in the English language and in the Western world. Because that power of that order, that ocean, like there's an ocean of compassion in the devotee, there's an ocean of adherence to the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the heart of the devotee. And by accepting the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we go out. And as we do it, Mahaprabhu begins to use us as his instruments. Use us, like he says, as the gardener. He needs help. He uses us as his means by which Prithiviteyache Jatanagaradi Gram Sarvacha Prachar Hoibe Moranam. We become the instruments. And as we do, we then become filled with that same mood that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has in distributing love. And the interesting phenomena, and all of us who have done this, we can attest that our initial hesitancy going out, oh, it's cold, and Buffalo is really cold. But, and it's not that people were clamoring to get our books and magazines, it took some effort. Maybe 1 hour we distribute 3 or 4. But still, by the time it is ready to go home, everyone's, well no, we should stay out. We could do more. There are more suffering souls to receive the names of Gauranga. So, receiving the order is that channel by which Prithiviteyache Jatanagaradi Gram. We've all received it. In fact, the order is a standing order. It's an order to everyone. You are human, and especially he ordered those born in Bharatvarsha. Bharati bhumite hoila manushya janmajar, janma sarta kore kora, para upakar. You especially, you have to take this order. And in this way, become instruments for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name to be heard in every town and village. So, this was what I wanted to speak about. I know I'm supposed to go for a little longer, I think, right? What time is, we're supposed to go till 7 o'clock. Okay, so then we're going to have to move into slightly some other related topics, right? Okay. Prithiviteyache Jatanagaradi Gram Sarvacha Prachar Horivinoranam. To look at Mahaprabhu's own strategies, how he spread Krishna consciousness. So we saw here how by his personal appearance, his personal contact, Krishna consciousness was spreading, the holy names were spreading. All Mahaprabhu had to do is just appear before people, and they automatically became overwhelmed with love. And when he said, Bolo Hari, they would chant. Now for us, perhaps that's not happening. We go, we tell people, Bolo Hari, and they walk past. Mahaprabhu saw this, how will he spread? He can't be everywhere, right? So we see how when he, of course he can be, but but in one sense his full manifestation is going to be somewhat limited. At least that's the way he looks at it. So we see in his South India tour another strategy emerging. So in South India, we find Mahaprabhu initially the same thing. People come, they see him, they're overwhelmed, they begin chanting. But then more begins. They begin to follow him. And as they follow him, Mahaprabhu observes their sincerity. And once he sees that sincerity, then he embraces them, physically embraces them, and they become filled with his Shakti. And then what does he do? He sends them back. Now go. Go to your village and you give them Krishna Prem. You give them the holy names. So in this way, we find Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan strategy evolving. Initially, we see in West Bengal, in this case here, he himself, by traveling and appearing and just calling the masses, people have taken up the holy names of Krishna. But how can the world be affected? So he begins the viral process. We know over the last couple of years the effect, how viruses operate. One is infected and then infects another, who infects another, and then it spreads and spreads. That is what we call the viral effect. So Mahaprabhu initiated the viral effect of Sankirtan, particularly in South India, where he would embrace and elevate the devotees who he encountered, infect them with the mission, his mission, and they would return and they would embrace and infect their village associates and their families. And in this way, the holy names spread all over South India. If you go today, you'll find that even in, Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj was talking about this a couple of nights ago, and he was describing how he went to some temples and in some ceremony he heard them chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he asked them, well, how, you're generally, you know, Sri Vaishnavas, or you're doing, you know, you have your rituals, you have your certain, how did this Maha Mantra get in there? And they said, well, actually we don't really know. But we know that it is the effect of Mahaprabhu. Even he found one temple, they had Gauri Thai on their altar. And he asked, well, how did they get here? Well, actually we don't really know. So even though they don't remember, but Mahaprabhu's preaching in his South India tour is still having its effect. And in the same way, this is Srila Prabhupada's strategy. I was reminded today of an example of this. How, we were talking about it, Hari Sori and we were together today. We were talking about how extraordinary it was for Srila Prabhupada's mission to expand in the way it did. He said that basically, that Srila Prabhupada would say that really our movement really began in 1968. Because if we see, okay, 1966 is the first ISKCON center. But only one, I think in the year of 1966, we find San Francisco, so one more. 67, okay, Los Angeles, maybe I think Montreal, a few more. But by 68, it's starting to double, triple. By 1951, excuse me, 71, within 2-3 years, it goes from 2-3 centers to 51 centers. I was looking at, I have a copy of the 1971 Vyas Puja of Srila Prabhupada, and in the beginning there's a list of all the centers. 51 ISKCON centers all over the world. Malaysia, Australia, France, Germany, all over the world. In 3 years. How is this happening? And then we were talking about how did he do it? How did he, you know, now there's, you know, in the beginning, he's in New York and in San Francisco, okay, there's 10, 20, 50 devotees. Now there's thousands, hundreds and thousands all over the world, 50 centers. He's translating. How does he do it? And I was thinking, he's got Krishna's power that makes even a simple few words coming from Srila Prabhupada, just even the desire. There's a book by Giriraj Maharaj that I encourage everyone. I'm just going through it myself. I'll build you a temple. The story of Juhu, the Juhu Hare Krishna land. And in one purport, I'm not sure if it's, I think it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Srila Prabhupada describes that the desire of a devotee, and he's talking about the empty land, I think he's talking about Vrindavan, how this was just an empty place. But by the desire of a devotee, now there's a temple. So when the devotee like Srila Prabhupada just desires, Krishna empowers. An example that I like to reflect on is when Srila Prabhupada spoke to Mukunda Dasa at the time in New York. Mukunda had a plan to go to India. He had a plan to go to India for some time. He said, I want to see India. Right? And you know, he's still kind of a very new devotee. And maybe 1 year, 6 months or something like that, just really new. And he and his wife, they said, well, yeah, we're going to go to India. But on the way, we'll go to San Francisco. I have friends there, and then from there we'll go. And Srila Prabhupada just gives him one sentence. Oh, you're going to San Francisco? It would be nice if you start a center there. That one sentence was all that it needed. Mukunda Maharaj goes and visits his friends first, who are Shyama Sundar, who become Shyama Sundar and Guru Das, and he talks about the Swami. He talks about his idea for a temple. They go to San Francisco, and bit by bit, it all happens. One sentence. That is potent virus. You know, we see, you know, different kind of viral powers. Some viruses takes a lot to make someone sick. Others are so powerful that just a small amount and somebody is deadly ill. So Srila Prabhupada had that kind of Shakti, Krishna's Shakti, Nityananda's Shakti, that by injecting with one sentence, this Krishna consciousness movement would expand. And not only that, but his energy, his power. If you read the Shyamasundar's own narrative and see about how the movement was growing, especially here in India in 1971, and the Cross Maidan, the first big Hare Krishna festival. And then we have Calcutta. I don't know if you were here, Jananivas. Calcutta, Pandal. Anyway. It was, and the energy was so strong. Because Srila Prabhupada's energy, Srila Prabhupada's own resolution, Srila Prabhupada's own commitment, Srila Prabhupada's own acceptance of the order as his life and soul, and the depth of his own compassion, because he had accepted the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the order of his Guru Maharaj to such an extent. He was once asked, so Sri Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself. He could spread Krishna consciousness. He says it will go all over the world. Why? He could have done it himself. And Srila Prabhupada's response is, yes, he could have. But he left it for me, for us to do. So that we could be instruments. We could receive that Shakti, that grace, and in that way become purified. By being grabbed by Mahaprabhu's army, brought in like irons, thrown into the fire, and then come out hot. That is our opportunity, and that is our extraordinary blessing that we can join in this movement to spread Krishna consciousness and realize and see Mahaprabhu's name heard in every town and village. So, thank you very, very much. We either can have, if there are some questions or comments that anyone has, I'd be glad to try to answer, or we can have a little more kirtan until we have 10 minutes. Or, so what would you like? Anyone have any questions, comments, reflections they'd like to throw in? Otherwise, we'll have a few more minutes of kirtan. Oh, we have someone with a hand up. Back there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for your wonderful stories about Srila Prabhupada. So, I know in early days, people were moving in the temple, they were mostly brahmacharis, and the ladies were staying also on the side, and then Prabhupada introduced marriage. Not that it wasn't there, but he said, instead of being single and if you're partners, you should get married. So then, many devotees also become grahasthas afterwards, so that's the second phase. So now, the same devotees are becoming older. They're talking about establishing Varnaprastha ashram, but it's already there, right? The ashram is naturally there, devotees are becoming older, they're giving up their duties, moving to the dham. So now, what is the next stage for youths, who are no more youths, but they are adults already, in our movement. So what is the vision or your understanding? I can ask you, please. Thank you.
I'm trying to understand. So, yes, devotees like my wife and I are vanaprasthas, and we're trying to give all of our time and energy to Krishna consciousness movement and our own sadhana. So yes, that is the natural evolution, and that's what we hope that all of the grihastas will be able to do. That and you have to plan for it also. That's one of the things that that is important for grihastas, is to plan for their vanaprastha ashram, make arrangements so that they can enter into the grihastha ashram at the appropriate time and continue and have the great blessing of being fully engaged in service all the time. Which is not to say that in the grihastha ashram one can also be fully engaged in service. But there's also other responsibilities that, you know, for earning money, etc., that may restrict, may make it a little more difficult to enjoy, I should say, because it's really a pleasure to be able to just go out and do Sankirtan or to, you know, do various missionary activities. So yes, that's our vanaprastha program. And as far as those who are beginning, they're young, they're getting ready, then that's what I would say, is that plan your life. Plan your life in such a way that you can serve as much as possible in every stage, whether it's as a brahmachari or as a or brahmacharini or as a grihastha or as a vanaprastha. Just make, you know, plan things around that. Make the service of this mission the central point of your life, and make it, organize your life around it. And there are ways to do that. It takes some thought and some preparation, and not everyone can do it, will do it in the same way. And there'll be a variety, because we all have our different talents and different gifts of Krishna. We can use them in different ways. But the central point should always be there. How is this life that I am pursuing, how can that best serve Krishna and serve Srila Prabhupada in any stage, young or old? I don't know if that answers your question, but...
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your nice lecture. My query is that, as Prabhupada lamented, that 50% of his mission is incomplete because he wanted to establish Varnashram Dharma, especially Daivi Varnashram. And Mayapur being the international headquarter and head office of ISKCON. So I'd like to know your opinion that how we can establish, or is there any need for that also? Because Mayapur land is very fertile, and we can have the sustainable project that we can, you know, cultivate our own crops, and cows are also available. So can we establish that, or is it really necessary? Please comment on that.
Okay, well that's not a 5-minute response really, but I can begin by saying, yes, we need Daiva Varnashram, but we have to understand Daiva Varnashram first in order to make use of it. And that requires some, you know, good thinking, understanding, reflection, in order to relate Daiva Varnashram to our current situation based on principles and not on details. The details we often get a little caught up in, and we don't really connect with the basic, as much as we need to, with the basic principles, and therefore we don't do anything. But I would suggest that there are a few fundamental basic principles of Daiva Varnashram. Growing your own food is not one of those. Okay? Growing food is a detail. We have to eat. That's a natural thing. So how we eat and how our eating and our food system supports Krishna consciousness, that's a principle. Personally, getting down and being a farmer, that's a detail. Who does that? How it's done? Those details will change. But the basic principle of the role of food and what is our food system in a Daiva Varnashram community, that's a principle. Now, what is the principle of food that Srila Prabhupada gave us? The primary principle is that everything is offered to Krishna. That's the fundamental principle. But there's another principle, is that we share, that no one goes hungry, that everyone is fed. That's another fundamental principle of a Daiva Varnashram community. And to achieve that, that means that there's another fundamental principle, is that we're connected. One of the most main, I would suggest, core principles of Varnashram is that we are all connected. Because we tend to see ourselves disconnected, each in our own sphere, we can't realize the benefits of a Varnashram system. But the Varnashram system is based on the principle that we're a body, that society is a body. And in a body there are different parts of it. There's a head, there's arms, there's stomach, there's legs. They all have different duties and responsibilities and roles, but they're part of one body, and they work together. So cooperation is a fundamental principle for Varnashram. So I would say, as a community, that where we need to work, that's one of the principles. We have to work on cooperation. How to work together, how to cooperate more in our personal lives, how to be more supportive of each other, how to be more connected. A second fundamental principle of Varnashram is protection. Very core principle of Daiva Varnashram. Of course, the first fundamental principle of Daiva Varnashram is service to Krishna. That everything that we do as a community should be seen in terms of how is it serving Krishna consciousness and the mission of Krishna consciousness. That's the core. But also protection is another fundamental principle. So how are we working together to make sure that the cows are protected, first of all, and the children, and the women, and the old? They all require protection. So these are things, I think, are the ways and the areas that we especially need to work on. Growing our own food, yes, okay, the land is fertile here, but it's cost $1 million an acre. Or, well, you know, I mean, here it's $1 million, and close by it's still $30,000, $40,000 an acre. It's just hugely expensive land. And there's farmers there already. So work with the farmers. Help them to grow the food in a better way. And to do that, it's very simple. Pay them. The solution to better food in our community is to pay the price. The solution to getting, protecting milk from protected cows, which none of us do, practically speaking. I mean, anyone here getting milk from protected cows? One person. There's hardly a way. And how many would like to get milk from protected cows? No? Would you like to get milk from protected cows? You don't understand what I'm saying, but I would. I've tried. I'm trying. Sometimes I'm getting, sometimes I'm not. But you have to pay the price. You can't expect farmers to supply you milk for 50 rupees, 40, 50 rupees a liter, and then keep those cows for the rest of their lives, and to keep the bull calves and take care of them. They can't afford it. Now when you're ready to spend 120 rupees a liter, then we can see. So the obstacles are mostly in us. We don't want to pay the price. We're not inclined to cooperate, to work together. So we see, we tend to exploit. I think it's a total, personally, I mean, maybe I'm a little, whatever, but to think that the solution to having Daiva Varnashram in our community here in Mayapur is to focus on growing food, that's a real detail. We're not going to be, to grow the food for a city of 50,000 people, we need the whole district practically, not the whole district, but I mean, you need, all the land around you. So work with the farmers. And if you want to farm, then start it. Do it. Short answer. Hare Krishna. Are out of time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'll see you again tomorrow. We're going to continue on this topic of every town and village, but we're going to go into more of the other principles and strategies that Srila Prabhupada introduced to spread this Krishna consciousness movement based on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own strategies. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. So we all thank Prabhu by chanting loudly 3 times. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So we hear more from Prabhu tomorrow also. So be on time and get the radios, FM. जो लोग सुनना चाहते हैं प्रभु के पास से, आप अपने साथ में एफएम को लेकर आइए। जरा सुनते चान प्रभु जे लीला जब बोले छे नगर ग्राम सब नगरे ग्रामे की दिए छे, तो अपनादेर एफएमটা নিয়ে আসবেন, তাহলে আনন্দে শোনা যাবে। So today's the Sravana Utsav, first day, the last class we are going to start. Now we have with us His Grace Premanjana Prabhu. His Grace Premanjana Prabhu is with us. We welcome Premanjana Prabhu by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mahaprabhu on Chota Harindas. Or just as well. Please bless before going and bless. So we'll hear from Prabhu now. This session, after this session, those who are present here will all get Mahaprasadam. So we need not worry, whoever is hearing here, whoever does some Krishna consciousness, being in Krishna consciousness, Krishna will carry everything for them, right? He will carry everything for you and He will preserve you, preserve everything, whatever you have. So here, we need food in the night, dinner, it is here. So we need not bother about that night dinner, what will happen. Dinner is here. So without any thought, worry, you can please come here and inform all the devotees, the other devotees, your friends devotees, and ask them to come and take part in this Sravana Utsav. This festival is mainly for the devotees, especially for the devotees who are coming from outside for this festival. But unfortunately, due to this corona, devotees are not here much. So it's our responsibility. It's not that we know everything. It's a facility provided to all the devotees to hear and get benefited, enlightened, and get advancement in Krishna consciousness. So we'll hear from Prabhu today, the chastisement of
Junior
Mahaprabhu chastising
Junior Haridas.
Junior Haridas, Chota Haridas. So hear attentively and we'll get good prasadam also. Don't leave in between, please. Hare Krishna.
Should I start?
Okay. You want to be Kirtan?
No, just pranam.
Okay. Huludwani, Haridwani.
আমি শুধু শ্লোকগুলি বাংলা বলবো, ইংরেজিতে ব্যাখ্যা করবো, আপনারা যেভাবে ভালো মনে করেন। শ্লোকও I will do in Bengali.
Then automatically they'll understand.
Understand? অজ্ঞানতিমিরান্ধস্য জ্ঞানাঞ্জনশলাকয়া চক্ষুरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीज्योतिपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदं सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधिवृन्दावनेश्वरी विशोभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पुंगुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुन् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिस्वरूपदामोदर स्वामिनिधि नामिने। नमः सद्भक्तमने मुनिपुरोद्भवाय च प्रभुपादलसद्वाणी प्रचार निरतायते। नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताका स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमाचार्य पादाय निताय कृपा प्रदायिने गौरकथा धामदाय नगर ग्राम तारिणे नमं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात् देशतारिणे Hare Krishna. So today's topic is the chastisement of Junior Haridas. The verses I'll read in Bengali and I'll try to translate in simple English. So I don't think that separate Bengali translation will be needed because the verses are very clear to understand in Bengali. So this is a very famous pastime, chastisement of Junior Haridas. All of you know there are two Haridasas. One is senior, one is junior. Senior Haridas is very famous as Namacharya. And Junior Haridas is also famous, but in the past time he was very much chastised by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll try to understand these important pastimes, why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected practically Junior Haridas, and what was the purpose and what lesson we can learn from this pastime. Jagadananda Pandit has written one booklet, Premo Vivarta, and in that booklet Jagadananda Pandit has mentioned, Jodi pranoy rakhite chaho gaurangero shone choto Haridasher katha thake jeno mone. If you want to maintain your loving relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please don't forget the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Chota Haridas. If you really want to maintain loving relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the essence of our devotional life, if you really want to maintain that loving relationship, we must remember the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Chota Haridas. So there is a devotee called Bhagavan Acharya. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antalila chapter 2, Bhagavan Acharya's introduction starts from verse 84. So I'll just read the verses and try to translate into English, simple English. Purushottam Prabhu Pashe Bhagavan Acharya Paramo Vaishnavate Hu Supondito Arja. So there was a devotee called Bhagavan Acharya who would live in Jagannath Puri, very close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was a very learned scholar. Shaikha Bhavakranto Chitta Gopa Avatar Swarupa Gosai Saha Shaikha Vyavahar. So he was in the mood of friendship. That Bhagavan Acharya, he was in the mood of friendship, and he was an incarnation of a cowherd boy, and he had a relationship of friendship with Swarup Gosai, Swarup Damodar Goswami. Ekanto bhave asya cheno chaitanya charan madhya madhya prabhurtehu karen nimantran. So that Bhagavan Acharya, he has taken shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely. And time to time, he would invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch. ঘরে ভাত করি করেন বিবিধ ব্যঞ্জন একুলে গোসাই লইয়া করানো ভোজন. So generally he would cook at his own home. In Jagannath Puri there are two systems of distributing prasadam. One is to purchase from Ananda Bazar directly and distribute ready-made prasadam. Another is to cook at your own home. I mean the grihastha, they cook there at their own home and they distribute. So Bhagavan Acharya used to do both. he used to purchase some prasadam from Ananda Bajar, and also he would cook some preparations for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he would invite only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he would invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he won't invite others. তার পিতা বিষয়ী বড় শতানন্দ খান, বিষয় বিমুখ আচার্য বৈরাগ্য প্রধান. His father was little materialistic person. Shatananda Khan was Bhagavan Acharya's father, but Bhagavan Acharya himself was in the mood of renunciation. গোপাল ভট্টাচার্য নাম তার ছোট ভাই, কাশীতে বেদান্ত পড়ি গেলা তার ঠাই. So his younger brother was Gopal Bhattacharya, Bhagavan Acharya's younger brother. His name was Gopal Bhattacharya. He studied Vedanta Sutra from Kashi. So you can guess what kind of Vedanta he learned. He learned Shariraka Bhashya, Shankar Bhashya, impersonal explanation of Vedanta. But Bhagavan Acharya was a personalist because he was a Vaishnava. আচার্য তাহারে প্রভু পদে মিলাইলা, অন্তর্যামী প্রভু চিত্তে সুখ না পাইলা. So Bhagavan Acharya took his brother to introduce with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not happy because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that this Gopal Acharya is a Mayavadi, is an impersonalist. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not happy. স্বরূপ গোসাইরে আচার্য কহে আর দিনে, বেদান্ত পড়িয়া গোপাল আইসাছে এখানে. So one day Bhagavan Acharya informed Swarup Damodar Gosai that my brother has come here from Benaras, from Kashi, after learning Vedanta. And immediately Swarup Damodar became little upset, little angry. Because learning Vedanta from Kashi means it is learning impersonal Vedanta explanation. So Swarup Damodar, he was not interested. He chastised Bhagavan Acharya. Buddhi bhrashta hoilo tomar Gopalera sange, Mayabad shonibare upojila range. Your intelligence is spoiled. That's why you want to hear Vedanta from your brother, because that is Mayabad. বৈষ্ণব হইয়া যেবা শারীরক ভাষ্য শুনে, সেব্য সেবক ভাব ছাড়ি আপনার ঈশ্বর মানে. Those who are Vaishnava, if they hear, listens to Shariraka Bhashya, they forget that Krishna is the master and we are his servant. They forget that, and they sometimes they start to think that I am God, you are God. So this is very, very dangerous for Vaishnavas. মহাভাগবত যেই কৃষ্ণ প্রাণধন যার, মায়াবাদ শ্রবণে চিত্ত অবশ্য ফিরে তার. Even an exalted devotee, a great Vaishnava also sometimes becomes bewildered by hearing Mayavad philosophy. আচার্য কহে আমা সবার কৃষ্ণ নিষ্ঠ চিত্তে, আমা সবার মন ভাষ্য নারে ফেরাইতে. Then Bhagavan Acharya replied, we are so much convinced about Krishna, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if we hear about Mayavad, our mind will never be disturbed. So this is the danger, that we may think that we are very strong, that we can hear Sharirak Bhashya, still maintain our devotional attitude. No, mind will be disturbed. Mayavadi Bhashya sunile hoy sarvanash. So this is the introduction of Bhagavan Acharya. He is a nice devotee, but he was interested to hear Mayavad philosophy from his brother. But after he got little chastisement from Swarup Damodar, he corrected himself and he told his brother, you go back to Benaras, you go back to Kashi. This Jagannath Puri is not place for you. লজ্জা ভয় পায় আচার্য মৌন হইলা, আর দিন গোপাল রে দেশে পাঠাইলা. So Bhagavan Acharya became little ashamed that he was interested to hear his brother, who was a Mayavadi, impersonalist. So he told his brother, you go back to your Kashi, you go back to Benaras. একদিন আচার্য প্রভুরে কইলা নিমন্ত্রণ ঘরে ভাত করি করে বিবিধ ব্যঞ্জন. So one day Bhagavan Acharya invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he cooked rice at his home and also cooked different vegetables. ছোট হরিদাস নাম প্রভুর কীর্তনিয়া তাহারে কহেন আচার্য ডাকিয়া আনিয়া. So Bhagavan Acharya called Chota Haridas. Chota Haridas was a singer, Kirtaniya. He used to sing in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was a good singer. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would listen to his songs. And Bhagavan Acharya called him. Mor name Shiki Mahitir Bhoginir Sthane Giya Shuklo Chal Ekman Anoho Magiya. So please go to the sister of Shikhi Mahiti and ask for 1 mon. 1 mon, as far as I know, in Tripura 1 mon is 40 kg. I don't know what is the measurement here. In West Bengal, 1 mon, how many kgs? 40 kg. Same. So Bhagavan Acharya told Chota Haridas, please go to the sister of Shikhi Mahiti and ask for 40 kg of white rice. If you have visited Ananda Bajar in Orissa, Puri, you will see sometime in Ananda Bajar, they are selling so white rice, very, very white. Almost like lime color, very white color rice. So for Jagannath, this is Prabhupada mentioned, generally this is the first class rice offered to the Lord. Of course, sometimes here we offer also parboiled rice, Siddha Chal. Siddha Chal means already boiled before threshing. But the general standard is that the rice which is not boiled before threshing, that is the best rice for offering. That is Shukla Chal, white rice. Mahitir Bhogini Shei Nam Madhavi Devi Vriddha Tapasyaniyar Parama Vaishnavi. So Shikhi Mahiti's sister, her name was Madhavi Devi. She was quite old. She was very austere and a very great devotee. Prabhu lekha kore jare radhikaragon জগতের মধ্যে পাত্র 3.5 জন. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu counted her as Radhikargon. Radhikargon means she is in the group of Radharani. In spiritual platform, she belongs to the group of, there are 2 groups, Chandravali's group and Radharani's group. So, Madhavi Devi, Shikhi Mahiti's sister, she belongs to Radhika's group. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu counted her as there are 3.5 pure devotees, very intimate devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One is Swarup Damodar Goswami, another is Rai Ramananda, another is Shikhi Mahiti himself, and the half is his sister. And this is Mahaprabhu counted them among the intimate devotees. Tar thai tondul magi anilo haridas Tondul dekhi acharyero adhika ullas. So Chota Haridas went to Shikhi Mahiti's sister and asked for rice. And Shikhi Mahiti's sister happily, when she heard Bhagavan Acharya is going to cook for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she happily offered 40 kgs of rice. Snehe randhilo prabhur priyo se benjan Devlo prasad ada chaki lebu shalaban. So Bhagavan Acharya cooked all the favorite items of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Devula Prasad remanent from Jagannath also he brought. He also purchased remanent from Jagannath temple, from Ananda Bajar he also purchased, and he prepared ada chaki, pieces of ginger and lemon mixed with salt. So these are the things Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favorite, because ada chaki is a digestive, very strong digestive, and lemon with salt is also very strong digestive. মধ্যাহ্নে আসিয়া প্রভু ভোজনে বসিলা, শাল্যান্ন দেখি প্রভু আচার্যে পুছিলা। So Mahaprabhu came to take the lunch, and when he saw first class rice, very white rice, very nice rice, so Mahaprabhu asked about this rice. উত্তম অন্ন এত তণ্ডুল কাহাতে পাইলা, আচার্য কহে মাধবী পাশ মাগিয়া আনিলা। So nice rice and so much rice you have collected. From where you have got this rice? Then Bhagavan Acharya replied, I got it from Madhavi Devi Dasi. Prabhu kohe konjai magiya anilo, Chota Haridasher naam Acharya kohilo. Mahaprabhu asked, who went to beg this rice from Madhavi Devi? Then Bhagavan Acharya replied, Chota Haridas. Anna prasangsya Prabhu bhojana korila, Nijo grihe ashi Govindare agga dila. So Mahaprabhu took his lunch, praising this rice. But when he came back to his Gambhira, he told Govinda, his secretary, his servant, that Aji hoite ei mor agga paliba, Chota Haridashe iha ashite na diba. So from today onwards, you must follow my order. Don't allow Junior Haridas, Chota Haridas, to come to me, to meet me. Don't allow him to meet me. Dar mana hoilo Haridas, dukhi hoilo mone, ki lagiya dar mana, keho nahi jane. So when he was prohibited to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nobody could understand why he is prohibited. What is his offense? Without offense, he is not prohibited. There must be some offenses, but what is the offense, nobody knows. Only Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew. In one of the purport of Prabhupada's lecture, I was listening. Prabhupada said actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Paramatma also. He is residing in everyone's heart. So as Paramatma, he can read your mind, he can read your heart. So when Chota Haridas went to beg this rice, his mind was little disturbed. He was little sexually agitated to see Madhavi Devi, although she was an old lady. But Prabhupada explained that as Paramatma, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that. Otherwise, externally there is no offense. Bhagavan Acharya told him to bring some rice. It is not an offense to, of course he was a sannyasi. He could have avoided this. He could have asked Bhagavan Acharya, please forgive me, ask someone else who is not sannyasi to go there. He did not say like this. This was one small mistake. Because sannyasi should be always afraid of meeting any ladies who is alone. And Madhavi Devi was alone. So that's why it was a small mistake. But still, for the service of the Lord, it was not a serious mistake. In purport, Prabhupada explained, it was not a serious mistake. But as Paramatma, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood, his mind was not good. Chota Haridasa's mind was, his mood was, for few seconds, for few minutes, his mind was disturbed. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry, because he was in renounced order of life. Chota Haridas, of course, he understood. He understood because he knows his mind, so he understood. 3 দিন হইল হরিদাস করে উপবাস, স্বরূপাদি আসি পুচ্ছিল মহাপ্রভুর পাশ. So 3 days passed. This Chota Haridas was fasting, not taking prasadam. And as Swarup Damodar was his friend, Swarup Damodar came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and asked, my dear Mahaprabhu, why Chota Haridas is restricted to meet you? What is his offenses and why he is fasting for last 3 days? Prabhu kohe boiragi kore prakriti sambhasan, dekhite na pari ami taharo bodan. So Mahaprabhu said, any person who is in the renounced order of life, if he is intimately addressing some ladies, I cannot see his face. Durbar indriyo kore vishaya grahan, darabi prakriti hare moneropi man. Our senses are so strong that it is very easily agitated, very easily disturbed. Even a wooden doll of a woman can disturb the mind of a great sage. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's comment. A wooden form of a woman can disturb the mind of a very great sage. Matra shastra duhitra va na vivikta shano bhavet balavan indriyo gramo viddangshamapi karshati. So that's why even if one is a learned scholar, he should not sit with his mother or sister or daughter in a secluded place. He should not sit with them in a lonely place. Balavan indriya grama viddangsham vikarshati. Even if he is a learned scholar, his mind also can be disturbed. This is what Shastra says. Khudra jeev sab markato vairagya kariya, indriya charaya bole prakriti sambhashya. So all the small living entities, they become they accept renounced order of life, sometimes like monkey. Monkey, they eat only vegetarian, they never eat fish and meat. At least in India, monkey, I have never seen them eating fish and meat. And they never use even cloth, Naga Baba. The monkeys, they live like Naga Sannyasi, But they have, Prabhupada said, they have 12, one male monkey maintains 12 female monkeys, so much. Its mind is always agitated. So sometimes people, they accept renounced order of life. It is not only about renounced people. It is about any sincere devotee. It is about any actual devotee. It is not that because Haridas Thakur was in renounced order of life, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu targeted only Haridas. Actually, this lesson was given to all of us, those who want to become sincere follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sincere actual devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this lesson is for all of us. Eto kohi Mahaprabhu abhantare gela, Goshair Abesha dekhi shabe mauna hoila. Mahaprabhu just told this and he did not speak anymore. He entered into Gambhira and everybody became little serious and silent by seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's seriousness. Ar dine shabe meli Prabhuro charane Haridasa lagi kichu koila nivedane. After some days, again all the devotees together, they went to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to request forgiveness for Chhota Haridas. Alpa paradha Prabhu karaha prasad, ebe shikha hoilo na koribe aparad. So my dear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you see he did very small offense. It is not a very serious offense. And now he learned. After your chastisement, he learned. And we think that he will never repeat it again. He will never repeat the same mistake again. Prabhu kohe mor bas nahe mora man, prakriti sambhashi vairagi na kore darshan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, my mind is not under my control. I cannot control my mind. In what sense? If any devotee who is in renounced order of life, if he is intimately speaking with any ladies, I cannot see his face. And in this regard, my mind is not controlled by me. I cannot control my mind. My mind doesn't allow me to see his face. নিজ কার্যে যাহ সবে ছাড়ো বৃথা কথা পুনঃ যদি কহ আমা না দেখিবে হেথা. So all of you go to your own service, don't disturb me and don't speak all this nonsense again. If you speak again, you will not find me here. I will leave Jagannath Puri. I will not stay here. এত শুনি সবে নিজ করণে হস্ত দিয়া নিজ নিজ কার্যে সবে গেল তো উঠিয়া. After hearing this from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everybody just blocked their ear because nobody wants to lose Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Jagannath Puri. So everybody left and again they started to render their own service. Mahaprabhu মধ্যাহ্ন করিতে চলি গেলা বুঝানো না যায় এই মহাপ্রভুর লীলা. So Mahaprabhu has again gone for lunch and nobody can understand Mahaprabhu's pastimes. It is so deep. আর দিন সবে পরমানন্দ পুরী স্থানে প্রভুকে প্রসন্ন কর কইলা নিবেদনে. And in Jagannath Puri there was another Sannyasi devotee. His name is Paramananda Puri, who was, in some sense, he was senior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he took initiation before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was also Sannyasi. So other devotees convinced Paramananda Puri because you are senior to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu apparently. So if you request, maybe he cannot disobey your request. তবে পুরী গোসাই একা প্রভু স্থানে আইলা নমস্করি প্রভু তারে সম্ভ্রমে বসাইলা. So then Puri Gosai Paramananda Puri came to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu alone, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered him obeisances and gave him a seat for ashan for sitting. পুছিলা কি আজ্ঞা কেনে হইল আগমন হরিদাসে প্রসাদ লাগি কইলা নিবেদন. See, Vaishnavas are so merciful. Even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected him practically, but all the Vaishnavas are trying again and again in different ways. First, Swarup Damodar requested. Secondly, they all, in a group, they requested. And in third step, they sent a senior devotee like Paramananda Puri. So, Paramananda Puri, when Mahaprabhu asked, why have you come here? What is your order to me? So then Paramananda Puri told, if you be kindly merciful to Junior Haridas, I have come with that purpose. শুনিয়া কহেন প্রভু শোনহ গোসাই সব বৈষ্ণব লয়া তুমি রহ এই ঠাই. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, you stay here, my dear Gosai. You stay here in Puri with all the Vaishnavas. I am going. মোরে আজ্ঞা হয় মুই যাও আলালনাথ একলে রহিব তাহা গোবিন্দ মাত্র সাত. If you order me, I can go to Alalnath. It is like 7 kilometers or something like that. 20 kilometers. 25. Sorry. So, if you order me, I can go to Alalnath temple. I have visited, but I couldn't understand it is 20 kilometers. Anyway, so if you allow me, I can stay in Alalnath, and you can stay here. I can stay with Govinda, my servant, and you can stay with all the Vaishnavas here. I can leave all of you. এত বলি প্রভু যদি গোবিন্দে বলাইলা পুরীরে নমস্কার করি উঠিয়া চলিলা. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his obeisances to Paramananda Puri and call for Govinda. Call for Govinda means now you do packaging. I'll go to Alalnath. আস্তে আস্তে পুরী গোসাই প্রভু আগে গেলা অনুনয় করি প্রভুরে ঘরে বসাইলা. So then Paramananda Puri understood now he is leaving Jagannath Puri. So he very eagerly, with a lot of anxiety, he held Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hand and he started requesting, please don't leave us, please don't leave us, please stay here. তোমার যে ইচ্ছা করো স্বতন্ত্র ঈশ্বর কেবা কি বলিতে পারে তোমারও উপর. You are the supreme personality of Godhead. Paramananda Puri is commenting. You are the supreme personality of Godhead, completely independent. Who can say something against your desire? লোকহিত লাগি তোমার সব ব্যবহার আমি সব না জানি গম্ভীর হৃদয় তোমার. Whatever pastimes you are performing, it is just to teach all the people in general. And we cannot guess the gravity of your decision, the gravity of your thought, we cannot understand. এত বলি পুরী গোসাই গেলা নিজ স্থানে, হরিদাস স্থানে গেলা সব ভক্তগণে. So after that, Paramananda Puri went back to his residence, and all the devotees met Junior Haridas. All the devotees met Chota Haridas. Swarup Gosai kahe shono Haridas, sobe tomar hitobanchi karaho vishwas. So his friend Swarup Damodar Goswami told, my dear Haridas, see, all of we actually want your welfare, want your benefit. প্রভু হতে পড়িয়াছে স্বতন্ত্র ঈশ্বর, প্রভু কৃপা করিবেন যাতে দয়ালু অন্তর. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now in the mood of, like persistent. He will not change his decision. So you please wait. Please wait. He is very kind. Maybe after some time, after some days or after some months, he will change his mind. So please wait. Please be patient. তুমি হট কইলে তার হট সে বাড়িবে, স্নান ভোজন করো আপনে ক্রোধ যাবে. So if you keep on fasting, if you don't take prasadam, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will become more angry on you, and the result will not be positive. So better you take prasadam, be normal. Someday he will call you. এত বলি তারে স্নান ভোজন করাইয়া, আপন ভবন আইলা তারে আশ্বাসিয়া. So after saying this, they made him bathe and take lunch. In this way, giving him some hope, all the Vaishnava returned to their residences. প্রভু যদি যান জগন্নাথ দর্শনে, দূরে রহি হরিদাস করেন দর্শনে. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to have darshan of Lord Jagannath, Chota Haridas, still from far distance, he was not allowed to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he could have darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from far distance. Mahaprabhu Kripa Sindhu ke pare bujhite, priyo bhakte danda karen dharma bujhaite. Mahaprabhu is an ocean of mercy, but still he is chastising his dear devotees, just to set an example for all the devotees, to teach them religious principle. দেখি ত্রাস উপজিল সব ভক্তগণে, স্বপ্নেহ ছাড়িল সবে স্ত্রী সম্ভাষণে. So seeing this, all the devotees became very much nervous. Even in dream, they gave up seeing any form of woman, even in dream, because they knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is super soul, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Paramatma. There is no way to cheat him. Even if he think in mind, he will understand. So they became really very, very serious, and they gave up completely thinking of opposite sex, completely, altogether. এই মতো হরিদাসের এক বৎসর গেল, তবে মহাপ্রভুর মনে প্রসাদন হিল. See how strict. বজ্রাদপি কঠোর কুসুমাদপি কোমল. This is the nature of God. He is softer than lotus and is harder than thunderbolt. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even after 1 year, he did not call Chota Haridas. রাত্রি অবশেষে প্রভুরে দণ্ডবত হইয়া, প্রয়াগেতে গেল কারেহ কিছু না বলিয়া. So at the dawn, Chota Haridas offered obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he went to Prayag. Triveni Sangam, where three, in the confluence of three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, he went there. প্রভু পদ প্রাপ্তি লাগি সংকল্প করিল ত্রিবেণী প্রবেশ করি প্রাণ ছাড়িল so then he meditated on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet and he jumped in the confluence of Prayag, confluence of three rivers, and he committed suicide. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explained, same thing. He did not change. Prabhupada did not say that for ISKCON we are a little softer. Prabhupada did not say. At least in written purport, Prabhupada did not say that we cannot be as strict as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But I heard from some devotees that Prabhupada was little soft. But still, I heard, I don't know exactly, that one of our ISKCON Sannyasi committed similar mistake as Chhota Haridas, and he also committed suicide in the confluence of Prayag. So if anybody knows, can share at the end of the class. But similar thing also happened in ISKCON. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada did not change that we should be in ISKCON, we should be softer. No, it did not change. সেইক্ষণে দিব্যদেহে প্রভুস্থানে আইলা প্রভু কৃপা পায়া অন্তর্ধানেই রহিলা. So just after giving up his material body with a subtle body, Chhota Haridas immediately came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. গন্ধর্ব দেহে গান করেন অন্তর্ধানে রাত্রে প্রভুরে শোনায় গীত অন্য নাহি জানে. He got a Gandharva body, and as he was a singer, he would sing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would listen to the songs from that Gandharva, Chhota Haridas, who became Gandharva. একদিন মহাপ্রভু পুছিল ভক্তগণে হরিদাস কাহা তাহার তারে আনহ এখানে. One day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Haridas, Chhota Haridas, bring him here just now. Bring him here just now. Mahaprabhu knows everything, but still he is showing. Actually, perhaps if Haridas Thakur was waiting so long, Mahaprabhu could also call him, because here he is calling, bring him here now. So that means Mahaprabhu had forgiven. Otherwise, why he is telling, bring him here now? সব কহে হরিদাস বর্ষপূর্ণ দিনে রাত্রি উঠি কাহা গেলা কেহ নাহি জানে. Other devotees told, at the end of the year, Chhota Haridas left Puri, and where he went, nobody knows. শুনি মহাপ্রভু ঈষৎ হাসিয়া রহিলা সব ভক্তগণ মনে বিস্ময় হইলা. Hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, and everybody was wondering why Mahaprabhu is smiling. একদিন জগদানন্দ স্বরূপ গোবিন্দ কাশীশ্বর শঙ্কর দামোদর মুকুন্দ সমুদ্র স্নানে গেলা সবে শোনে কত দূরে হরিদাস গায়ন যেন ডাকি কণ্ঠস্বরে. So one day all these devotees whose names are mentioned here, they went to take bath in the ocean, and they heard that Chhota Haridas is singing from far distance. Because his voice was well known to all of them, they could very clearly recognize, identify his voice. মুনিশনা দেখে মধুর গীত মাত্র শুনে গোবিন্দ আদি সবই মেলি কইল অনুমানে. So they could not see Chhota Haridas, but they could guess that he is somewhere nearby because he is singing. বিষাদি খাইয়া হরিদাস আত্মঘাত কইল সেই পাপে জানি ব্রহ্ম রাক্ষস হইল. So they are commenting, perhaps he took some poison and committed suicide, and his soul became Brahma Rakshash. His soul becomes, there is a kind of ghost called Brahma Rakshash. There are different kinds of ghosts. Some ghosts are very much disturbing, but Brahma Rakshash are not like that. A devotee committed some offense, sometimes they become ghost, so they are not disturbing to the devotees. আকার না দেখি মাত্র শুনি তার গান স্বরূপ কহেন এই মিথ্যা অনুমান। আজন্ম কৃষ্ণ কীর্তন প্রভুর সেবন, প্রভু কৃপা পাত্র আর ক্ষেত্রের মরণ। So Swarup Damodar told, no, he did not become Brahma Rakshas, because whole life he chanted the glories of the Lord, and whole life he served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he received Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, and he left his body in Dham, in holy Dham. So all these positive points are there. So I don't think that he has become ghost. দুর্গতি না হয় তার সদ্গতি যে হয়, প্রভু ভঙ্গি এই পাছে জানিবা নিশ্চয়। You be sure that there will be no loss for him, no danger for him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually very merciful. Very soon you will come to know how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy on Chhota Haridas. প্রয়াগ হইতে এক বৈষ্ণব নবদ্বীপ আইল, হরিদাসের বার্তা তেহু সবারে কহিল। জৈসে সংকল্প জৈসে ত্রিবেণী প্রবেশিল, শুনি শিবাসাদির মনে বিস্ময় হইল। There is another devotee who visited Prayag, and he witnessed that Chhota Haridas committed suicide. So that information he gave to all the devotees like Srivas Pandit. He told that actually Chhota Haridas committed suicide in the confluence of Prayag. And Srivas Pandit and other devotees, they became surprised. বর্ষান্তরে শিবানন্দ সব ভক্ত লইয়া, প্রভুরে মিলিলা আসি আনন্দিত হইয়া। After 1 year, all the devotees came to Jagannath Puri to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all of them met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Srivas Pandit asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where is Chhota Haridas? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Haridas kaha যদি শ্রীবাস পুছিলা, সকর্ম ফলভোগ পমান প্রভু উত্তর দিলা। Srivas Pandit asked, where is Chhota Haridas? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, he suffered his own karma, sakarma phalabhuk poman. A person is sure to achieve the result of his fruitive activities. Whatever offense he committed, he suffered the result of his own offense. তবে শ্রীবাস তার বৃত্তান্ত কহিল, জৈসে সংকল্প জৈসে ত্রিবেণী প্রবেশিল। শুনি প্রভু হাসি কহে সুপ্রসন্ন চিত্ত, প্রকৃতি দর্শন কইলে এই প্রায়শ্চিত্ত। So when Srivas Pandit told him, actually he committed suicide in Prayag, Mahaprabhu was happy. He was not telling, oh, I am very sorry that. No, Mahaprabhu was very happy, and he told, yes, if anyone watches or associate with women intimately, this should be the atonement. This should be the atonement. স্বরূপাদি মিলিতবে বিচারো করিলা, ত্রিবেণী প্রভাবে হরিদাস প্রভুপদ পাইলা। Then Swarup Damodar Goswami and other devotees concluded that Chhota Haridas, by the mercy of Prayag Dham, he got Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. So time is almost finished. I just tell something about the conclusion of this chapter. Oh, it is all. I can finish. এই মতো লীলা করে সচির নন্দন, যাহা শুনি ভক্তগণের জোড়ায় কর্ণমন। আপন কারণ্য, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, he became merciful to all the unlimited Vaishnavas who will come in future, that you have to be careful. Vairagya Shikkhan, you have to learn the science of renunciation. And you see the devotion of my follower. Chhota Haridas is my follower. Under all circumstances, he never disrespected me. Even before committing suicide, he was meditating on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established so many things that my devotees are never disturbed. They never disrespect me. And he also taught the glories of Dham, Prayag. If you live body in Mayapur, Vrindavan, any Dham, you will be surely benefited. And in this way, and after Chota Haridas left his body, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually took him back. He was singing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was listening. So from these pastimes, we have to be very, very careful. Very important lesson for the follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sirupa Raghunato Padajara Ash Chaitanya Charitamrito Kohe Krishna Das. So this is the end of the chapter. It is a fact that many devotees cannot imitate Chota Haridas. And Prabhupada said, whatever happens, stay in ISKCON, never be disconnected from ISKCON. But one thing is sure, either you do atonement by committing suicide, or you don't commit suicide, but the punishment is waiting. So that much we must learn, that if we are not sincere to follow all the regulative principles, and if you really want to become actual devotee, actual follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we must accept this lesson that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu imparted to all of us through the pastimes of Chota Haridas. So now I leave some time for question. Only 3 minutes are left. So if you have any question or comment, you can ask. Pardon? 7 to 8. Oh, 7 to 8:30. Oh, sorry. Oh, then I need not be so hurry. 8:30. I have 30 minutes. 30 minutes. See, due to old age started. Brain is not working. 30 minutes I forgot. Anyway. So either we can analyze on the same pastimes, or I hope if you ask genuine questions, it will cover more than 30 minutes. So please ask question, raise your hand, and microphone is there, Mataji is there, our
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very often we equate Mayavada and impersonalists. As far as I understand, and it's preached in Russia and other places, that Mayavadis consider themselves God and they worship themselves. And the impersonalists are saying that God exists, but He is impersonal and they want to merge in. So could you please comment and make a clear distinction?
Oh, very nice question. Very nice question asked by Lavanga Mataji. Hare Krishna. So, yeah, there is subtle difference. One is called Brahmavadi and one is called Mayavadi. Brahmavadis, they think that impersonal realization is the first realization, and in future we will realize Paramatma, Super Soul, and ultimately we will realize Krishna. These are Brahmavadis. Brahmavadis are not offensive. They are not offensive. Just like I am studying class 10, I am studying in class 10. I know I will be promoted to class 12. I will be promoted to college. I will be promoted to university. I know. So he is not offensive student. But there is some offensive student. He is thinking, I passed class 10 and this is the highest education. This is the highest education. There is no more education beyond class 10. So that student is offensive. Mayavadis are like that. They think impersonal Brahman is the ultimate truth, final conclusion of Vedas. There is no more truth beyond that. So they are Mayavadis. So Mayavadis are Mayavadi Krishna Paradhi. They are offensive to Krishna. But Brahmavadis, they are not Krishna Paradhi. They know, now we have realized impersonal Brahman. In future we will realize four-handed Paramatma, and finally we shall realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So this is the difference. And also there are many other differences, like Mayavadi think, I am God, you are God. Understand, like this, But Brahmavadi, they don't think like this. They know this is impersonal realization. In future we will realize that Krishna is God, we are servant. In future we shall realize this, but at present our realization is up to impersonal Brahman, but we will progress. So that is the Brahmavadi, and they are not offender. But Mayavadis are offender. They think, I am Krishna, you are Krishna. You understand? Is it clear, Mataji? Okay. Further question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for your nice class. Prabhuji, what I understand from this episode is that Junior Haridas, he was a sannyasi and he was talking with a lady intimately. So that is the only offense, or any more offense he committed?
Another offense, Prabhupada explained in some of his lecture that he was attracted to Madhavi Devi. That is the main offense. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as super soul, he could read Chota Haridasa's mind. That was the main thing. Otherwise, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not be so strict, because he knew the mind. That's why.
And moreover, he was a sannyasi.
Yeah. Actually, if Chota Haridas wanted, he could avoid this. When Bhagavan Acharya requested him, it was his duty to say, sorry, I cannot go. You send somebody else. Because Madhavi Devi is staying alone, I should not go. So he was not so alert. And due to that negligence, his mind got disturbed.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Can you kindly stand up so that I can see your face also? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In this time, because of the duty as preaching, so many sannyasis are invited to Grahastha's home, and so many lady devotees are assembled over there. Maybe there is problems arising, but he is concerned about his preaching. So, will he be punished?
No. You see, there are some principles have to be maintained. For example, when a sannyasi is visiting Matajis, he should accompany many assistants. At least one assistant should be with him. I was reading Chaitanya Prabhupada's biography, that one day Prabhupada's sister was sitting in his room, and there was some other devotee also. And that other devotee wanted to leave. Prabhupada said, no, you wait until I finish my talking with my sister. Please wait. So, in this way, if you are guarded by many other devotees, sannyasis, they can be guarded by their disciple also. If they are with their disciples, followers and disciples and devotees, there is no danger. At least, they should be guarded by some assistant. They should not be alone. They should not speak alone with some ladies. Is it clear, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Is there any advice you can give for the Matajis for how to associate with the sannyasis.
Same formula, when they come to meet Sannyasis, they should make sure that there is some assistant present with him, and also she can go with some of her friend, some of her, if she is unmarried, she can go with another lady, or she can, if she is married, she can go with husband. In this way, there should be some social protection. Am I clear, Prabhu? Okay. Two questions from Mataji's side.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for a wonderful class. My question is not directly to this only, Chota Haridas, but it is something with the principle I'm asking. Like Chota Haridas' mind got agitated. So similarly, we are practicing Krishna consciousness. At times it happens, not that sexual, but for other things also our mind gets agitated. So how to come back again to your principle, how to protect your sadhana and all that. Could you please explain this?
Actually,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
when we are absorbed in practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting 16 rounds and reading Prabhupada's books, listening Srimad Bhagavatam class, Gita classes every day regularly, when we are sincere in practicing spiritual life and also sincere in heart, it is not mechanical. Oh, today I heard Gita class and I heard Bhagavatam class, so my mind will be under control. It is not like that. I have to be sincere. If I am sincere, even sometimes if you miss Bhagavat class, suppose one day you missed Bhagavat class, you missed Gita class, or you missed something, spiritual aspect. It doesn't mean, oh, today I missed Bhagavatam class, so my mind will be surely disturbed. It is not like that. Because there will be instances when you may miss Bhagavatam class also. It is risky to miss. We should not miss. But if by chance you miss, that doesn't mean that your mind becomes immediately agitated. If I am sincere, this is the test of sincerity. If I am sincere, under all circumstances, I will guard my mind. If I am not sincere, only option is punishment. Am I clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. And being a female body, at times it happens with the Matajis, because there are so many things, household activities you have to do, so at times it happens. Mind doesn't get agitated so much, but yes, that guilt feeling is there. So how to come out of that guilt feeling?
There is only one medicine. There is only one medicine. We neither change doctor, we don't change medicine.
Right,
medicine is Krishna consciousness.
Harinam.
Harinam, hearing, listening. Prabhupada used to say, whenever Prabhupada, a pure devotee, but he is also telling, when I feel that Maya is attacking me, immediately I chant very loudly. Prabhupada used to chant very loudly.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So if a devotee like Prabhupada is alert, we should be more alert. We should be more alert. Chanting, living with devotees is another important thing. Associating with devotees. Sometimes if you are, just like in Brahmachari ashram, brahmacharis are sleeping, four brahmacharis or two brahmacharis, they are sleeping in the same room. But if you sleep in single room, it is not so good for devotional life. Should be some devotee staying with you. So in this way, it is better that you are under guard. Like four brahmacharis staying together means each brahmachari can watch the activities of other brahmachari. So automatically they are guarded. So association is very important. Even in house, if you are associated with your relatives, so then there is more protection.
Sadhu Sangha is a solution.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
A lot of younger devotees who just started, they have said that Srila Prabhupada spoke about Mayavada a lot. And they thought that he's, fighting with some sect in India. And then they realized that actually he was talking about them. So when we say a Mayavadi tendency in a devotee, what do we mean? Like, what should we guard against of? How would that, for example, show in my thoughts, show in my life of the devotion? And what should I guard against?
Yeah. Only one thing, Mataji, only one thing. Krishna is God, I am his servant. Mayavada means Krishna is God, I am God. You are God, he is God. This is Mayavad. Actually, when I was a student, on my study table, there was a signboard written by me, I am God. Before coming in contact of ISKCON, very nicely I wrote, I am God. And I kept it on my table. So I was studying, reading and watching this, I am God. Such fool I was. But after reading Srila Prabhupada's books, one thing is completely smashed for whole life. There is the question of becoming God. We are never God. I was never God. I am not God. And in future, I will not become God. We are always eternal servant of God. There are five sampradaya. One sampradaya you don't count. That is Shankaracharya, Mayavada sampradaya. We don't count. Otherwise, Vishnu Swami, he says Krishna is God, we are his servant. Then Nimbarkacharya, he says Krishna is God, we are his servant. Then Madhacharya says Krishna is God, we are his servant. And another, Sri Sampradaya. Ramanujacharya said Krishna is God, we are his servant. So all these four sampradayas in one point they have one conclusion. Krishna is God, we are servant. Only in Shankaracharya's group they say Krishna is God, I am God, you are God, he is God, everyone is God. Kutta Narayan, Chagal Narayan, Daridra Narayan, So only in that group. Otherwise, among these five groups, four groups, they have same conclusion that Krishna is God, we are servant. So in this way, if we know only this much, Krishna is God, we are servant, we are never Mayavadi. We are never Mayavadi.
Anybody want to ask a question? Prabhu, one more question. I like to help people, sometimes at the cost of my family, at the cost of my time and everything else. And I was told by a very nice devotee that this is my pride.
This is
my pride, that I'm God, you're not, so I will help you. So he said this is a tendency I should be avoiding. So how do we help people without feeling that I'm God, I will provide for you, instead of,
Actually, if you read Srila Prabhupada's books, Srila Prabhupada is such a writer. In every step, in every line, in every paragraph, he will tell the same thing. He will tell the same thing. He knows how dull-headed we are. So, he will tell you are not God, Krishna is God, you are his servant. So, in this way, when you understand, we are just instrumental. We are just instrumental. Even if, just like Arjuna, he was fighting, but Nimitta Matrang Bhavasabhya Sachin, my dear Arjuna, you are just instrumental. You are not the fighter. You are just, actually, there is an example that one child was beating a dead snake. Suppose I killed a snake, and a child came, he started beating the dead snake. So credit goes to whom? The child who is beating the dead snake, he can claim, I killed the snake. But he did not kill the snake. So in Kurukshetra, Krishna did everything. Arjuna was beating the dead snake. So we should know that we can try to help devotees, help others. Our first preference should be to help devotees. Second preference should be to help others, non-devotees. But first preference should be to help devotees. So either with money or with words or with physical help, whatever way you help. So that is, you should know I am instrumental. Yeah, I can help as long as Krishna allows me to help. If Krishna withdraws the power, I cannot help. If Krishna gives me money, I can give money. If Krishna gives me bodily strength, I can carry him to the hospital. But if I myself is suffering from some rheumatism, how can I carry? Someone has to carry me. You understand? So how can I carry somebody? In this way, I am just instrumental. That I have to remember all the time, and that lesson I will learn from Srila Prabhupada's books. Is it clear, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam. Prabhu, in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan has said, this Mamayivangsha Jivaloke Jivabhuto Sanatana. Bhagavan is residing in the form of Paramatma in every living being. Whereas from our childhood, and you as a Bengali, you have seen this Jive Prem Kore Jai Jon Sebiche Ishwar. So what is the Birod, Prabhu, in these two form of these sentences?
Yeah.
Since our childhood, I have heard this.
Yes.
And now after coming to ISKCON, that this is not correct. And Bhagavan is telling, Mamayivangsha Jivaloke Jivabhuto Sanatana. Bhagavan is staying in every heart of every living being. And if we worship the living being, then we can worship Lord Krishna. Then what is the birod between these two forms of this?
Yeah. So, Jive Prem. For example, fish is a jiva or not?
Jiva.
So, if you love that jiva, fish, should we kill him or not kill him?
Not kill him. Not kill him.
So, this is Jive Prem. When you love God, automatically, in one temple, some devotees killed one tree, cut one tree. Prabhupada was very angry. It was not necessary to cut this tree. Why you cut it? So, even cutting a tree, we should think 10 times. That should we cut this tree? Because it is also jiva. Unnecessarily, for maintaining body, we should take minimum help, because jiva jivasya jivanam. Our food is also jiva. But we should minimize the circle. But it is not that we maximize the circle. We include goat, we include fish, we include cows. In this way, you can maximize the circle of hingsha, violence. But if you can minimize, and that also you have to ask forgiveness, you have to offer vegetarian food also you have to offer to the Lord. In this way, forgiveness, asking forgiveness, because in material world you have to kill some vegetables. You have to kill. But you must minimize your violence, and you must give up fish eating, meat eating, because this is jive prem. To become vegetarian is kind of jive prem, because you are minimizing the circle of your love for other living entities. So many people say jive prem, but they themselves kill fish, they themselves kill animals. You understand? So they only in words they say jive prem. But when you say minimize, they say no, we will not minimize. Because killing vegetable is also killing, and killing your father is also killing. But we must minimize. Am I clear?
No, you are clear, Prabhu. That means that sentence is not wrong, but we are not following that sentence.
See, when you love God, you love me. Do you love my finger? You love Mr. Such and Such. Do you love his finger? Cut his finger. Can you cut his finger? No, I love you, but I hate your finger. Is it possible? No. When you love Krishna, automatically you love his branches. We are his branches. We are his twigs. We are his leaves. Jatha torur mulo nishechanana trippanti tat skanda bhujo poshakha. When you love God, automatically you love even an ant. When I was riding bicycle, I see some ants are making procession. Then I immediately stop. Nowadays. But before joining ISKCON, who cared? Nobody cared. Nobody cared. So when you love God, automatically you don't kill even an ant. Understand?
Yes.
But you must know love starts from God, not from jiva. If you love God, you automatically love His finger, automatically love His parts and parcel. But if you don't love God, you cannot love jiva also. That's why we say, Madhava Seva, Manava Seva. But they say Manava Seva, Madhava Seva, opposite. We say opposite is not possible. Opposite is not possible. If you don't love the root, then love cannot be spread. Love cannot be spread. Our Vaishnava love is spread to all, even to insects, to ants, small. Even Prabhupada was against killing mosquitoes. As far as possible, use mosquito nets. Don't kill as far as possible. That was Prabhupada's instruction. Clear? Okay.
Now it is clear.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
হরে কৃষ্ণ প্রভু, আমি বাংলায় জিজ্ঞাসা করছি। প্রভু, ছোট হরিদাস মহাপুর একদম সন্নিকটে ছিলেন, তো উনার এরকম দশা হয়েছে, মহাপ্রভু ওনাকে ক্ষমা করেনি। সেক্ষেত্রে তো আমাদের বহু ধরনের এরকম অপরাধ হয়ে থাকে, তো মহাপ্রভু আমাদের ক্ষেত্রে তাহলে কি হবে? আর একটা প্রশ্ন,
একটা করে হোক, একটা করে হোক। So Chota Haridas was living very close to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and his mind also got disturbed, and Mahaprabhu did not forgive him. Actually, Mahaprabhu forgave him. Time duration was longer. Otherwise, Mahaprabhu also called him, bring him just now. Mahaprabhu, in one verse, Mahaprabhu called him, isn't it? So he forgave, but it took longer time to teach us that offense was very serious, especially for the renounced person. And another thing is that even if apparently he committed suicide, but after committing suicide he got Gandharva body, subtle body, and he again came to meet with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was regularly singing for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that means he was forgiven. Apparently he got some punishment. So for us, you be sure there will be punishment. If there is some deviation from spiritual standard, there will be some punishment. Punishment cannot be avoided. Am I clear? Clear? Punishment cannot be avoided. Of course, if you lament, it can be minimized. If you lament too much, sincerely, not like shedding crocodile's tear, if you really lament with full sincerity, then punishment can be minimized. Is it clear?
আর একটা প্রশ্ন, বৈষ্ণবের আবেদনে কৃষ্ণ দয়াময় শুনেছি, তো মহাপ্রভু স্বয়ং কৃষ্ণ ছিলেন, আর বহু বৈষ্ণব ওনার কাছে আবেদন করেছিলেন যে ছোট হরিদাসকে ক্ষমা করে দেওয়া হোক। ভগবান ওখানে, মহাপ্রভু ওখানে এটা ডিনাই করে দিয়েছে যে না, ক্ষমা হবে না। তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে আমরা বৈষ্ণব আচার্যদের থেকে আবার শুনতে পেয়েছি যে বৈষ্ণবের আবেদন কৃষ্ণ দয়াময়, তো সেখানটা কীভাবে আমরা কি বুঝবো এখান থেকে?
So his question is that God is very merciful, especially when he is requested by the Vaishnavas, he becomes very merciful. Vaishnavara avedanoy Krishna dayamoy. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, and all the Vaishnavas requested him to forgive Chota Haridas. First of all, Chota Haridas was forgiven. It took little longer time. Secondly, sometimes, suppose in one side there are 100 devotees, another side 1 devotee. For the benefit of one devotee, if I can, if I can harm 100 devotees, for the benefit of a single devotee, should I harm 100 devotees? বাংলা বলছি, যদি একজন ভক্তের উপকারের জন্য আমি 100 ভক্তের ক্ষতি করি, সেটা কি ঠিক হবে? চৈতন্য মহাপ্রভু জানতেন আমি যা দৃষ্টান্ত স্থাপন করছি এটা বর্তমানে এবং ভবিষ্যতে এই যে 10,000 বছর ধরে ইস্কন চলবে, এই আদর্শটা কিন্তু 10,000 বছরের কোটি কোটি বৈষ্ণবের জন্য, কোটি কোটি বৈষ্ণবের জন্য। ছোট হরিদাসকে যদি মহাপ্রভু আলিঙ্গন করে বলতেন যে ক্ষমা ক্ষমা হয়ে গেল, হ্যাঁ, তখন কোটি কোটি বৈষ্ণবরাও ভাবতেন আর এইসব কোনো ব্যাপারই না, একে তো নাচিয়ে বুড়ি, তার উপরে ঢোলের বাড়ি। একটা বুড়ি নাচতে ভালোবাসে, তাই না? একজন গিয়ে ঢোল নিয়ে, বুড়ি ঢোল ছাড়াই নাচে, আর ঢোল বাজালে কি করবে? বেশি নাচবে, তাই না? তো আমাদের মন এমনিতেই চঞ্চল, তার মধ্যে যদি একটা ছোটোবেলায় একটা কথা শুনতাম যে গুরু যদি দাঁড়িয়ে প্রস্রাব করে তাহলে শিষ্য পাক দিয়ে প্রস্রাব করবে। মানে গুরুদেব যদি দাঁড়িয়ে প্রস্রাব করে তাহলে শিষ্য ওই পাক দিয়ে মানে ঘুরে ঘুরে চক্কর দিয়ে লাঠিমের মতো চক্কর দিয়ে প্রস্রাব করবে। শিক্ষাটা হলো এই যে মহাপ্রভু যদি একটু লুজ হতেন, মহাপ্রভু যদি একটু নরম দেখাতেন ভাব, তাহলে এই বর্তমানের বৈষ্ণবরা তার সুযোগ সন্ধানী, আমাদের মন এমনিতেই সুযোগ সন্ধানী। হ্যাঁ, ওই জন্য যাতে ভবিষ্যতের কোটি কোটি বৈষ্ণবের উপকার হয় সেই জন্য মহাপ্রভু বজ্রের মতো কঠোর ছিলেন। বোঝাতে পারলাম? সো should I translate everything? So he's telling that why Mahaprabhu became so strict. He could become little sympathetic, little merciful to Chota Haridas. So Mahaprabhu became so strict because he wanted to warn millions of Vaishnavas, coming in future, just like follower of ISKCON and follower of Gauriya Math, and ISKCON will continue for 10,000 years. So millions of Vaishnavas will come. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was lenient, then millions of Vaishnavas would take advantage of it, and they will become more lenient. There is a story that one spiritual master, so-called spiritual master, was passing urine by standing sometimes they do near the road. And the some disciples saw this and they started passing urine, circumambulating, all the area. Understand? So if Guru shows little leniency, then the followers become more lenient. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was as hard as thunderbolt, so that in future nobody can show leniency. Am I clear?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when we are new in Krishna consciousness, we are very enthusiastic because the new chanting, new Bhagavatam class, new devotees, new deities. After some time, we'd get bored. That's why we do not get experience of Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, because the happiness does not increase. I'm especially talking about myself. So how I can get that nectar, keep on increasing and increasing and increasing?
Our devotional life is exactly like students' life. Some students are failing, some students get, suppose in mathematics exam, some students get 00 out of 100. Some students get 10 out of 100. Some students get 80 out of 100. Some students get 100 out of 100. So Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam means 100 out of 100. It is relative. All students will not get same marks. For somebody it will be Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, for somebody it will be 00. You understand? It depends on the caliber of the student, caliber of the devotee, standard of the devotee, past history for millions of lifetimes. So many things are related. Am I clear? Okay. So I am happy that with question answer, 1 minute more is left. So maybe for announcement, 1 more minute.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class and question answers. So, we thank to Prabhuji by chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So, we see that Prabhu also will come next class. Tomorrow, same time. Tomorrow also we have class. Prabhuji will come. So, today's session, today's Sravana Utsav first day is end here with a good prasadam. Very good prasadam. And tomorrow, as usual, we have at 10:30 we'll start, and 10:30 to 1:30, and then 5:30 to 8:30. We expect all of you be on time. আমরা আশা করি বাংলা ভক্তদের কাছে কি আপনারা কালকে এফএম নিয়ে আসবেন। প্রভু তো বলবে, কিন্তু অন্যান্য ভক্তরা ও তো বলতে পারবে না, সেই জন্য আপনারা एफएमটা आनबेन। और हिंदी भाषी भक्त लोग जो यहाँ आएंगे वो लोग एफएम लेके आइए, हम हिंदी में ट्रांसलेशन करेंगे, अनुवाद करेंगे। और रशिया और चाइना तो हो रहा है, इट्स ऑलरेडी गोइंग, रशियन एंड Chinese language. So we thank all the devotees who have participated since morning. It's your one day of Sravana Utsav is successful. Hare Krishna. Mahaprasade Govinde.